Are you looking to find a new weapon to play against the Queen's Gambit? So was I, and that's why I started playing the Benko Gambit, and so should you. It's fun, it's pretty good, and it's easy, just like me. Let's jump in. Now, what I love about the Benko Gambit is it comes with a built-in plan, and I love when openings do that. It helps you keep your strategic head on. So, what to look out for as we go through this is we're going to try and open up both of these files and basically get our heavy pieces over our queens and our rooks over onto these files as well. We're probably going to fianchetto this bishop here and probably plonk this knight somewhere like that. But the idea is clear. We empty out these files and we focus all of our attack full steam ahead onto our opponent's queen side. And that is going to be the benefit of the Benko Gambit. We're going to give away a pawn to open up those files and just start hammering down this queen side channel. That's a little bit more positional than some gambits you might be used to, where the trade-off is I'll give you a pawn and in exchange I get really quick attacking play and maybe I'll launch my attack by the time you can capitalize on your material advantage. The Benko Gambit is a little bit different, where it's I give you a pawn in exchange for some open files and a channel through which to attack. But what I find is it really helps focus my ideas. So whether or not I play perfect chess thereafter, I have a clear plan. I'm going to hammer down the queen side channel. I'm going to try and crack you like an egg down there and mop up a few of your pieces and win the game. And that happens quite a lot. So as I mentioned, the Benko Gambit comes about as a result of your opponent playing the Queen's Gambit. So they're going to play 1d4, you hit them with a little bit of a curveball with knight f6, then they try to do their Queen's Gambit jobby by getting these two pawns here, their d and their c pawn, and now you lock in the start of the Benko Gambit. Again, there's a little bit of debate on this, but you hit them with c5, and this is the Gambit part. You're giving away this pawn. Now what's likely going to happen is they're going to push here. They're going to push here because they don't want to wreck their center early on. If they do take here, you've actually got a pretty easy game of it. You can play something like e6, you can target that pawn straight away, and then they've given away their d pawn for our c pawn, which we're perfectly happy with. Our pieces are going to develop at a leisurely pace, and we're going to be absolutely fine. So they're probably not going to actually take here if they know their stuff. If they don't, great, just accept that they take here, take the bishop, and you can probably even still hit him with a little bit of Benko madness, but we'll get to that in a second. So they're probably going to advance here, and this is where it turns from what this is known as the Benoni or the old Benoni sometimes. So once they push there, you can hit them with a bit more of Benko madness and play b5, offering up this pawn again. And this is part of that idea where we're opening up some queenside channels for our attack to file down. Now they're very likely to take this. If not, there's another heap load of variations. This is chess after all. A ton of different things can happen. But they're very likely to take this, and if they do, you can even go a little bit Benko crazier and offer up your a pawn with a move like a6. Now if they take this, we are off to the races, because we're going to take here. This is kind of where we want our bishop. And a fun thing about the Benko Gambit is if they ever move their e pawn, which they're very likely to do, so even if they play e3 or maybe at a later stage e4, just gobble up that bishop, just gobble it up, right? Because that's going to mean that their king is not going to be able to castle anymore. So that's stage one of the Benko, and this is all going perfectly to plan. There's going to be little nuances. This is chess. Things change every single game, but in general, this is what you're going to go for. And once they do that, you want to fianchetto this bishop. You want to get, oh yeah, let's say they just start developing in a normal way. You want to fianchetto this bishop. Well, maybe they'll move this out as well. You want to castle short, and again, let's see, what else might they do here. Let's say they do just a nothing move. They'll do better than nothing moves. But you'll end up with a setup like this. You got a fianchetto bishop, you got a lovely little pawn chain, and you have wide open channels to develop your pieces into here as well. And you can kind of move your knight here and then move it into here. You can also look to move it this way and this way. This knight actually has quite a bit of freedom. And then you want to move maybe your queen here, here, switch the rook across, and put an immense amount of pressure flinging down these files. That, in a nutshell, is the Benko Gambit. There are, of course, nuances. As I say, they don't have to take they don't have to take at this stage, and they might do something like this. You are completely at liberty to just, take here, or you can take here. That's no problem at all. they'll take here. Your plan actually probably doesn't change a whole lot here. You want to set up this kind of structure where you got this lovely pawn chain, fianchettoing the bishop. Now you have this bishop that can still do this, put a little pressure here, or it can develop in a more traditional sense towards the center of the board. You can start to fling this pawn forward, and still your strategy is going to be hammer on down the queen side, because you'll also have this lovely bishop that's going to stare right at this rook, which is great. Your king is going to be perfectly safe. You have a nice chunky center. It has cost you a pawn, so don't forget about that. It's not bulletproof, but it's a really nice way to play, and it's a really nice way to focus your attacking energy. As I say, there are some like traps and tricks that you want to look into. I won't go into that in this video. This is just a basics principle. Gut your queen side with that the c5 and then the b5 push. Also a little a6 push if you're feeling fancy, and you'll have those two channels for you to work on, and your king will be safe on the other side of the board. It's a ton of fun. I'm going to show you a game that I played that I managed to do this. It wasn't a perfect game or anything like that, but I did get all of this Benko madness in place, and it was a ton of fun, and we won. So let's jump into that now. So this was a recent game I played in the 1700s rapid game, and the start of it goes very similar to as we drew it up, a very classic kind of Benko style. They don't take that first kind of Benoni pawn, so we're allowed to play b5 like this, and this is like a kind of the tabia, the starting position for the Benko Gambit, and they don't take that straight away, and we just get on with our plan. Now, it looks like we can actually just push here straight away, and that's a better move. I was, again, focused on just completing the plan that I knew, which was to fianchetto my bishop, get myself castled short, and get this lovely little pawn chain going here. Again, there's ways in which I can improve this, which is great, and we will do that. But we get castled, we get this lovely structure. Oopsie. Get castled, get this lovely structure. King is safe, pieces are developed. Gotta gut this a little bit more, but we get to do that soon. So we play our a6 sort of double gambit kind of piece. They take it. We take with the knight here. We could have taken with the bishop and start to trade off here. We kind of do that in a different way, where we start to bring the bishop to pin this knight and cash in that knight, really. Again, not so much focused on the king side. My laser focus this whole game is getting down the queen side and open her up there. So we do that. We bring the queen on over to the queen side. We don't do any of this like perfectly well or anything like that. And a couple of mistakes here and there, hither and yon. We move the knight in here, and we do benefit from a blunder by our opponent, but it's kind of a soft blunder. They, rather than moving their knight here and protecting this pawn, moving their rook here and protecting this pawn, they try to threaten our knight and kick it. We're allowed to infiltrate with the queen, which is like just perfectly what the Benko is designed for. They do a bit of nonsense in here. We move the knight away. We open up that file all the more. They give away their rook, which, hey, that's nice when that happens too. But again, we're just hammering on down. We move our rook in, but able to infiltrate there on a1. Trade off away here. That knight was giving us a check and didn't feel like taking that check. They take the knight. We take the rook with check. They take back. We take the bishop. They block any kind of background nonsense with the bishop. And we complete the absolute flooding of the queen side by bringing our rook on down. And I think in this position, our opponent resigned. Wasn't quite a dead rubber. There was a few different things they might have been able to do. But in general, looking at the reason I picked this game, there's a couple of other Benkos I've played that I won. I definitely won, and you're not going to see them. But the reason I picked this game is, if you look at the structure at the end of the game, it's exactly why I play the Benko Gambit. We have our king is safe as houses back here. We have our bishop just near enough the fianchetto side of things, and our queen side is completely emptied out, and we've actually hoovered up all pieces on that side of things, and we've been able to infiltrate and cause an untold amount of damage. Again, our opponent didn't play perfectly, I didn't play perfectly. That's not the point. The point was we had a clear goal in mind and we had a blast playing it. I advise you to play the Benko Gambit just for the fun of it, just for the crack, and I think you're going to have a really good time with it once you start to lock it in. That's all from me. If you did have a good time, feel free to stick around and subscribe for more content like this, and all the very best on your chess journey. Thanks very much.